In today's video, we're going to be building an all-white gaming PC build for $1,600. That's right. If you guys did not know, one of my neighbors reached out to me to getting a PC built for their son's 16th birthday. So this PC build's kind of special. So we're going to go all in with this PC build to build the cleanest build for $1,600. And on top of it too, we got some nice white cable extensions to match this theme. And we're using a newer PC case from Motherboard, the Motherboard King 45 Pro PC case. I did a full review video on this case, and it's really nice for what you get at this price point. So I'm pretty excited about this build. I think he's going to absolutely love it. So let's go over the parts. So first of all, you know what the case is, the Motherboard King 45 Pro. This PC case is a newer case. It's not the cheapest case by far, coming out $120, but it comes with a lot of nice things. First of all, 4 ARGB fans, 3 for intake, 1 for exhaust, and a GPU sag bracket. And it's a very unique way of setting up the power supply too, which I'm really curious to see how this actually looks when we finish building it. And with our cooler, it's going to go perfect because we got the liquid cooler 360 radiator in white. This is going to be so nice with this PC build. It's actually going to be ridiculous. This is my first time using the white version of this. And if you guys do not know, I usually use this cooler with the Motherboard XR case because that PC case plus this cooler goes perfect together. But I think this will do just as good because this case does support up to a 360 radiator. And for our CPU choice, we went with the 78X3D, the second best gaming CPU on the market. Now, we could have chose a few different CPUs for this PC build, like the 98X3D or the 7700X, but the reason why we chose this CPU in general was because of the fact that her son loves to play competitive games, and the recent game he's interested in right now is CS2. So this CPU is great for exactly that game, just because the 1% lows on the CPU are going to be amazing with that L3 cache, getting us over 240 FPS at a 1% lows, and for our normal FPS around like 5 to 600 FPS, could be low 400s, but yeah, no, this thing's gonna be absolutely based for anything he throws at it. Now for our motherboard, we went the Asus B650E Max Gaming Wi-Fi motherboard in white. Now I am kind of surprised because this motherboard is the cheapest motherboard on the market currently, because all the normal motherboards in black are usually around $150 to being near $200, but this motherboard we got for $140 and it's white. Crazy, because usually white stuff is more expensive than black stuff. So yeah, that's kind of nice about this board. And the good thing about it is too, since this PC build is for him for gaming, he does want to stream on the side as well. So the reason why I chose this motherboard was because of the fact that it has an additional 16 by slot that supports by 4 at Gen 3 speeds, meaning that if he wants to install a PCIe capture card later, or if he wants to install maybe like a Cam Lake Pro or some other stuff, he can actually do so. So the possibilities of upgrading the system down the line are really nice. Now for the GPU of choice, we went with the RTX 5060 Ti, the 16GB version, no 8GB version. That would be absolutely evil if I did that to him, because yeah, that GPU is not gonna last more than 2 years. I want to be honest with you guys. You need to have the 16GB version. This is the entry GPU I'd recommend to anyone out there. And since it is the white version of it, there is a bit of a white tax on it, so it's not exactly cheap. I would have recommended him the actual RTX 5070, but all the white versions are like $800 to $700, and yeah, the normal RTX 5070 is like $550. So yeah, the reason why I chose this GPU in particular was because it's got 16GB of actual VRAM, so it means 8GB for his nice 1080p gaming, because that's what he plans to do with competitive. But also has another additional 8GB of VRAM for streaming, which is a bit on the overkill side, but for what he's going to be doing with multitasking, this is going to be perfect for his actual demands, and especially for CS2. Now for the RAM of choice, we went with the Crucial Vengeance 32GB kit with 6000 MHz, and luckily we were able to get this RAM before the prices absolutely skyrocketed. So yeah, I told his mom like to buy the RAM prices before like the next day, because they went from like $200 for this kit to $300 in some places. So yeah, I think what's gonna happen with the RAM prices going up so much, I think by the end of the year a 32GB kit is gonna become $300 plus. So just sucks how much RAM has gone up by. Now for our SSD of choice, we went with the Crucial P3 Plus Gen 4 SSD with 2 TB of storage, which is gonna be more than enough for whatever game he wants to put on it, because he was telling me that he was having issues with his PC with 1 TB of storage. So just to future proof it, we're doing 2 TB just because most games nowadays are like 200GB to like 500GB. So like if they're like only 200GB, you can only like put like 3 games on your SSD with 1 TB until you run out of space. So this, he should be able to put up 6 games with absolutely no issue. And yeah, I think that will definitely be the case here, because he plays a lot of AAA shooters. Now for our power supply, we went with the MSI Mag A750L power supply. This is going to be more than enough wattage to power this PC build. And since this is a fully modular power supply, we will be able to plug in only the necessary cables for this build, which will just make it look perfectly more clean for the aesthetic, instead of having a bunch of extra cables in the back we don't necessarily need, and it just looks disgusting that way, because we're trying to go for that nice all-white theme design to keep it clean. So let's get in the build process. Now what we're going to do first, install our CPU on the motherboard, is we're going to open the little latch here and push this on down, pull it to the side, and lift it up like so. And then we can open up the socket itself. Now what we're going to do to install our CPU is line up the gold triangle on the CPU with the socket. So you can see on the socket here, there's a little white triangle there. And so you can see on the CPU in itself, on the top left there's a little gold triangle there, and we're lining it up with the triangle on the actual socket. So what we're going to do is just drop this into place. It should just fall in. Then we're going to push this little socket back on down, take our lever, of course make sure it's lined up perfectly, and we're going to push it down with a little bit of force here. This is the scariest part, but once you get it the first time, it's really easy. With that, our CPU successfully installed. Now the next thing we need to do is install a RAM. So what we're going to do is open up our 2 and 4 slot, and we just need to open it on one side of this motherboard, not the bottom side, thankfully. So what we're going to do is take this little tooth here in the middle and line it up with the actual socket. So you can see here, there's a little tooth right there. We're just lining it up like so. So what we're going to do is make sure the logo is pointed the opposite way of the CPU, and that way the tooth lines on up perfectly. And we're just going to push it on in from evenly on both sides here. And then what we're going to do is apply pressure until it clicks. We're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. And with that, we got our first DIMM installed. We're going to do the exact same thing with our second stick here. We're going to line it on up with the socket. And we're just going to push it in from the back side first to make sure it clicks. Then the same thing in the front. And with that, we got our 2 RAM sticks installed. So we're going to need to open up this slot on the motherboard here, then install our M.2. So what we're going to need to do is take our small screw, and we're going to need to lefty-loosey these real quick here. The exact same thing on the opposite side until this comes off. And with that, we can now install our SSD. So what we're going to do is take this small tooth and big tooth, line up the socket at a 45-degree angle, and we're going to wiggle it on in. And with that, we can push it on down like so. Now, there is a thermal pad on the back of the shield, and what you want to do is remove this little peel thing here from it. So once you remove that, we could take our shield from earlier, line it on up with our M.2, and all we're going to do is take this and put this back on top, and then screw it back down. And once it's nicely tightened, we got our nice M.2 neatly installed. Now, what we're going to do is prep our cooler for our motherboard. So what we're going to do is remove these 4 screws to the actual brackets for our CPU cooler, because we're going to install a different thing altogether. I would recommend doing this on top of your motherboard box, because there is actually a back plate behind the motherboard that holds this in place. And if you don't do this on the motherboard box, it's going to fall off and it's going to be very annoying. So I recommend just doing it like I have it here. And we're going to do is just lefty loosen all 4 of these until these screws come off. With that, we got our first bracket. Now we're going to do the exact same thing on the bottom side here. Just make sure not to lose the screws or the brackets, just in case if something's wrong on the motherboard, because you will need to have the brackets with it to get your warranty on it. And with that, we got the brackets and screws nicely uninstalled. And we're going to set this stuff to the side for the time being. So the next thing we need to do is install our cooler in itself, and we're going to need a few things from the box. First of all, there'll be a little package with some nubs and screws that says AMD. This is the one we want to use for the actual socket. The next thing you'll need too is the brackets that come with the cooler. One will say right side with the R, and one will say left side too. You want this pointed downward. And then finally, you have your cables of choice. So you can use this one here, which connects everything to like the VRM, pump, the fan header, and stuff like that, all to the cooler. But I like using the other one here, which is simpler, which has just one goes to the pump and one goes to the board, and you're all good to go. So we're gonna just take these black nubs and start lining them on up where we move the brackets here on all 4 of these corners. That way we can nicely install our actual backplate to it for our cooler. Not backplate, our actual bracket. Now for the brackets, what I recommend you doing is take the screws here and then run them through the screw hole here. That way it'll be a little bit easier to actually install it. And then we're just gonna line this up like so and place this on top and screw one down. And we're gonna do the exact same on the other side with the left bracket here, have the L pointed towards us. And then we're gonna just take that screw, run it through it early, place it on top and screw it on down. Then we're going to take the last 2 screws we have here and run them into both of these little spots here. Now the next thing we want to do before we install our cooler is install actually some thermal paste. So what we're going to do is take a grain-sized rice and place it right on top. So the next thing we're going to do is remove this little peel here. And we're going to take this copper plate and line it up. So you see these 2 screws here. We're going to line it with 2 screws here like so. This part is jank if it wasn't obvious already. Okay, this is going to take me a second. There's also a little peel here too that we will need to remove, because if you don't remove this, your RGB won't work. What we're gonna do is now tightly screw this on both sides nice and evenly till it doesn't go anymore. So the next thing we're gonna do is take the cable here. We want to just take this, plug it into the little side here. It's kind of hard to see. We're just gonna plug this in like so. So there we go, we got that installed. So usually I plug in this connection for the pump and stuff like that into the motherboard, but since the case has a fan hub, we're gonna plug it into there later. Same thing with the ARGB connection because everything's daisy chained. So what we're gonna do for the time being is just take the actual top part here and place it on top here like so, and then remove the little peel. Before we install the motherboard into the PC case, we will need to remove this rear fan temporarily so that way we can easily install the motherboard into the case. So we're just going to lefty loosely all 4 of these screws here for the time being, and then by removing that, we can temporarily move this fan. Glad I installed the peel and the IO shield ahead of time, because if I install this and had to remove this later, that would kind of be, you know, sucky, to say the very least. So now we can actually install this into our case perfectly. So line this on in nice and so. And we're going to set our cooler to the side for the time being, because we'll install that in just a bit here. Now in the package that comes with this case, there will be some screws. You'll actually see like these kind of screws here. We're going to use these to screw down our motherboard onto the actual spot. So we're just going to quickly screw this on down. You can follow along with me when I speed this on up. And with that, we got our motherboard nicely installed in the case and tightened on down. So what we're gonna do is take that rear fan from earlier we set to the side, and we're just gonna reinstall this real quick by putting it onto the side. We can just hold it into place and screw it back on down like so. It's a little 4 screw spots, and we're just screw it back in. Now, next thing we want to do is install the cooler into the PC case, and we got it right side up for us, makes it a little bit easier. And what we're gonna do is take the cooler here, make sure you have the Arctic logo towards us where you can read it, and then we're gonna just push it on in, push it to the top, and then line it up with the actual grill here that you can see, and that way we can screw it on down. Now there are screws that come with the cooler, the screwing it on the top side here, so we're going to use these. So we're going to just take those screws, line up with the top here, and we're going to get like 2 of them pre-installed. And the reason why we want to get 2 installed right off the rip is that way it makes it easier for us to install the rest of them, so we can just hold it in place without using our hand. With that, we got our IO nicely installed. Now the next thing we're going to do, since we're around the top here with the IO, we're actually going to install our power supply here, because you're going to plug it in here. So what we're going to do is remove these 2 thumb screws here. We're going to loosen these on up. Luckily they're already loose, we don't have to do anything but unloosen them, set them to a side somewhere so we don't actually lose them. Then we're going to take this part here, pull it towards us, and pull out of place, which is perfect. Now, when you open the power supply box, you'll get access to a few things. First of all, you got your power supply in itself, and we're going to only plug in the necessary cables we'll actually need, because all the cables will be in this bag here. So the cables we'll need is, first of all, our PCI cable for actually powering our GPU. We're going to need a nice 8-pin connection for actually powering our CPU, and you can actually see the CPU on it for which one it goes for. And then one for our motherboard for a 24-pin. And finally, one to actually power the power supply for the PC case. So all we're going to do for this actual one for the CPU is we're going to plug it into one of these ports here. So I'm going to plug it into the bottom one for our CPU to get power. I'll just plug it in like so. Same thing for PCIe cable. We're going to plug it into the top one here and just push that on in. And then finally, for actually our motherboard, we're going to need to plug in a few different things. So first, we're going to need to plug in this pin for the 24 pin for the actual power for the motherboard. We're going to plug this in like so. Then the same thing for the other pins here. We're going to plug it into this top one. It says ATX 24 pin. Now the next thing we're going to do is take these cable extensions we got, and we're going to use them to make the build look more prettier. So we see each of them for different things. So this is like the GPU. This is for the CPU, and we have one here for the motherboard. Now once we got these cables extensions all good to go, we can install our power supply. So we're going to take this shield thing and line it up with actually the PC case for our power supply here, so it lines on up. We're going to screw this on down real quick. Now keep in mind there will be another part of this packaging that will say hard drive screws or power supply. So you can say it says GPU or power supply, so we're going to use these for that. So you can see there's 4 screws here. We're going to screw them in all 4 of these spots, that way it doesn't go anywhere. Now with that, what we're going to do is take this power supply and we're going to carefully slip it on in here like so. Put it back the same way we got it. It's like 4 nubs on the top here. We're going to line up the nubs here. Push it forward to slip it on in. And with that, we got our power supply nicely secured, and what we're gonna do is take those thumb screws from earlier and screw this back on down, so that way this does not fall out of place and fall and break anything, because that would kind of suck. And now another thing we will need to do is take actually this power connection here for the case and plug it into our power supply and flip the switch from 0 to 1, so that way she powers on like so. So we're just push this on in here. Take this screw, we'll take this thing here and just slip this on down. So I just want to quickly mention that this part here was really hard to push down, so you got to make sure to push this down thoroughly, that way it actually pushes on in, so that way you can wire it, because then afterward we actually put the top on it, because if you don't put it down all the way properly, it's kind of a pain, and we just need to click it in place like so, and that way we're all good with the top, and that way we don't have to mess with the top side anymore. I almost completely forgot, we actually do need SATA power to actually power our fan hub, and we need to plug in our fan hub cables. So first of all, we're going to take the SATA 3-pin, 6-pin actually, and plug it into one of the SATA ports here. Just part of the far left one, far right one. We're just going to plug it in here for time being. So the next thing we have to do is mess with the GPU and install that, and then we get to plug in all of our cables and see if she boots. So I'm just going to quickly say it. This GPU, the Aero 5060 Ti, looks super clean. There are a few things of peels we will need to remove here. Actually, there are no peels. It just looks super clean. I thought there would be a peel here because sometimes there actually is. But we will need to remove this actual PCIe protector. And there's no peel on the back here, so we will not have to worry about that. So let's get our GPU installed. What we're going to need to do is open up this first. We're going to let the loosey this. And then with that loosened on up, we're going to pull it towards us. And what we're going to do is remove the brackets here for the 2 and 3 slot, because this is a 2-slot GPU. So remove this for the time being. I might have to push it inward. That's fine. And do the exact same thing for the 3 slot. And we're going to do cables in just a second here. But what we want to do is take these fan cables here, which is the ARGB one. We're going to run it to the top grommet up there. Actually, instead of the top, we'll just run for the side one, because I just realized this is a shorter route, so it'll look a little bit more cleaner. These cables are trying to fight me, so I can't put them through there, but I got them, so it does took a second. For some reason, this bracket is not open, not sure why. We'll move that to the side. So what we're going to do is take this like so, just line it on in, line it with the PCIe slot, and we're just going to push it on down. And with that, we got our GPU nicely installed to the PCIe slot back there, which is awesome. We're going to just take the 2 screws from earlier and screw them back on down, so that way our GPU goes nowhere. We're going to just push this to the side for the time being and retighten this. And with that, our GPU is nicely installed. So let's start setting up the cables now. So the first thing we're going to do is do the pump and ARGB cables for the actual AIO, which we've already routed them for here. So we're going to go to the back side of the case first. So what we're going to do is take our CPU fan connection, the actual controller fans, and plug it into this actual fan hub up here. So you can see there's a 4-pin. We're going to plug this 4-pin into fan 5. Slip this in like so. With that, we're good there. Then for the cooler, for the RGB, we're going to take this ARGB connection 3-pin. You can see at the bottom here, there's a 3-pin connection. We're going to just line this on up and push this on in. With that, our fans are all good to go. So the next thing we need to do is plug in the SATA power from our power supply to power the fan hub, plus that one ARGB connection to the motherboard, and on top of that, the actual fan connection to power all of our fans. So what we're going to do is take the SATA cable here with the actual SATA power for the fan hub, and we're just going to plug this in like so, and with that we're good. So what we're going to do is take this ARGB connection, and we're going to run to the top left side here, and then we're going to take this fan connection that powers all of our fans for our fan hub with ARGB and stuff, and we're going to run it to the top grommet here. Run that like so. So we're going to take this fan connection. You can see there's a little fan that says a CPU fan. We're going to plug this on in. So you can see there's a little slip here in the back. We're going to take that on in, line like so, and push it in like that, and put the slack to the back. Then for this ARGB connection for the 3-pin, we're going to put into one of these ARGB connections here. So we're going to put in the top one for the time being. You can see there's 1 pin on the top, 2 pins on the bottom. We're going to line it like so. Push that on in. Now for the actual USB power and all that stuff for the case. Let's work on that next. So what we're going to do is open up this little thing here by lefty loosening this. Pull this towards us. We're going to have access to a few different things. So first of all, we'll do this Type-C connection. So we're going to take this Type-C connection for our motherboard, run it through the top one here on the side. And we're going to do the exact same thing for our USB 3 connection. We're going to put this right here on the actual side. Then for our HD audio header, there's actually a little grommet thing here. We're going to sew around this here. And the next thing is our front panel connections for like the power switch and stuff. We're going to do the exact same thing with the actual bottom one for HD audio, but on the opposite side right here. So let's start with the Type-C connection. You can actually see a Type-C cable goes into this port right here. We're just going to plug this on in. It should clip into place. Should hear pop. That's good to go. Then same thing for our USB 3 connection. You can actually see there's a little nub here. We want to make sure that little nub points towards the outside here. So I'm just gonna take this, run out the opposite way, and push that on in. It should click into place. For some reason, I did not push our Type-C connection all the way. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. With that, we got our USB and Type-C connection all good. What we're gonna do is route the rest of the cable slack to the back side of the case and make it look a little bit more prettier. And that way, that looks super nice. Now, for our front panel connection, you can see there's actually, I think this is front panel. It's this actual connection right here. Kind of hard to tell because it's kind of dark, but there's 4 prongs on the top, 4 prongs on the bottom, or pins. And we're just going to take this, match the 4 pins on the top with this one here on the top side, and it should be just super simple as we want to have the front panel pointing towards us, and then just flip it, and push this on in, like so. And then we take the extra slack and just push it to the back. Then the HD audio connection, you can see we got this cable right here, and this HD audio is going to go exactly right there. And of course, there's actually a missing spot you can actually see from the pins. We're just going to match that up with the top here. We're going to just have the HD audio like point towards us. Flip it, push it on in, and then you're just going to push it and wiggle it on in. And with that, our case connections are all good to go. So now we just need to do the power connections for the power supply. So first of all, we got the 24 pin. Of course, we're going to run this to the top one right here. Push this on in. Then for our actual CPU, we're going to run the CPU one into the actual top grommet right here. And then we got our PCIe cable to power our GPU. And what we're going to do for this one is just run it to the bottom actually here for the time being. Now for the motherboard, there is a little pin thing on the top here, and we have that pin pointing towards the opposite side here. So we're going to take this pin, flip it the reverse way, and then we're going to just line this on up with the 24 pin on our actually board here, and then push this on until it clicks. And now for the CPU, we're going to do the exact same thing. You actually see there's a little clip here on the actual side, back side here. We're going to have a match up with the top side here. So we're going to have this clip pointing towards the back, and then we're going to push it into this 4 pin up here, which is kind of like hard to see. It's always like impossible to record this perfectly, but you're going to push it until it clicks. Now for a PCIe cable, you can see this little clip here on the top. You can see there's a little empty space there. We're going to line this on up. We're just going to push this on in to power our GPU, and you'll hear it click into place. And now what we're going to do is just push this to the side, and we're going to close up the back side of the PC case because we don't need to do anything back here. As long as everything boots perfectly, we shouldn't have to worry about going back here again. So we're just ready tidy this. So now what we're going to do is take the side panel, put it back on. Now we'll push this down, like so, and then slip her on in. And just click into place. So the next thing we're going to need to do is plug this girl on in to see if she actually turns on. Of course, plug in the power cable to the back side. Go to the front here because the front has the power button. And we're just going to push this on in. And moment of truth, will she just work? Ooh, RGB looks good. I hear the fan pumping. That actually looks super clean. Top fans are on as well, which is awesome. Will we get a display? Will she just work? That's the question we'll find out next. Perfect. CPU's installed. You can actually see the command prompts in there, which is awesome. So she's all good to go. So let me prepare her, and then we'll do some game testing. So the first game we'll be testing is CS2, and we're gonna start with all high settings. So we're gonna of course have our refresh rate to 240 on our monitor, and then we're gonna set everything else just to high on the custom settings, set just the high for the time being. And then in-game FPS will be of course maxed out to 1000, and then, you know, lobby doesn't particularly matter, so I'm not concerned about that there. Okay, so we're doing Dust 2 for our first comp map, which is nice. And so far FPS on high settings is around 300 on low to looks like over 400 on high, which is not bad. You know what I need to do? I need to buy a nice CSGO at this rate, because how often I test CSGO for my testing, maybe I deserve to buy myself a, you know, a bayonet Doppler. You know what I'm saying? I will say though, CSGO had a recent market crash, like, and it's like an insane market crash they had like a few weeks ago, where everything went to like $200 to $300. The prices are going back up to like the normal amount, but it was crazy for a second there how low the prices actually got. It was so funny though. As soon as like they made the prices go back up though, everyone started reverse trading. So like people got these insane knife glove kits, but it was only legit temporarily because of the fact that like everyone started reverse trading on them. Rotation. Planning.
Oh shit on him, bro. We're last. Let's go.
Oh damn, I'm sorry boys. Door. Dude, I cannot knock that kid. Get that kid. Nice. That shotgun guy. Oh, are you kidding me? He came from behind. Oh my god, dude. He's not gonna peek. Or lost S's. Oh, get out of my lobby!
Sight and CT.
Bro. Oh my god, man. I was popping off for a second there. That felt pretty good. Okay, now that we're switching sides, what we'll do is we're gonna switch everything to low. And it's super simple for us. We can just literally switch it from high, not to low, to medium. I forgot medium's best. So we're gonna see how it performs at medium. Okay, that is significantly better, bro. Already up to from 300 FPS to 500 FPS. Kind of nutty. Game looks still really good on medium settings with significantly better FPS and feeling extremely smooth. Dude, come on. Where did my flashbang go? Did I not throw a flash in there? Did it not go off? Oh, nice. Nice pick from behind. Nice stuff. Ooh, case hardened. Ooh, don't mind if I do. Lower. Got one lower. Case hardened. +1. Nice. CSGO, gonna quickly say it, felt very, very good with the CPU GPU combo. Actually insane how smooth that was. Now the next thing we're gonna do is a gaming and streaming test of the PC to see how it actually performs while gaming on Fortnite on all high settings and streaming to Twitch as well in the background with OBS. So you can see right here we got Fortnite on the following. We got 300 FPS, DirectX 12 full screen, and then for actually our settings graphics, we have everything set to high for the default quality presets just to see how this actually runs. Then we're also gonna have OBS in the background too, so that way it's streaming to actually Twitch. We could do multi-streaming as well too. I'm pretty confident this would probably do more than one platform. And of course, it says we have this missed 16 frames, something like that skipped. That's just because of the fact that I'm tapping in and out. When you tap in and out of a game with display capture, it can act a bit wonky. But still, even then, this should give us a general idea on how everything performs. And then for our actual settings for streaming in OBS, we're gonna have the following: our output settings for our H.264 for our NVIDIA encoder. We're gonna have 6,000 bitrate, consistent, high quality, 2 paths, profile high, and then we're gonna actually disable look ahead and then keep everything else the same. And then for our video settings, 1080p for our monitor for base, output for actually Twitch to 1080p, and then our FPS is gonna be 60. And we're gonna see how this actually performs. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start streaming right now to actually Twitch. So you can actually see we're now streaming on Twitch with this PC with Fortnite, looking pretty good. It says unstable stream, but that shouldn't actually be the case. I think what happened is just Twitch is not fully registered the stream just of yet. It should be excellent quality when I refresh it. Yeah, excellent quality. So we'll see how this actually performs when we start game one with this. It should be pretty stable to say the very least. So right now on the ground though, we're on 140-ish, and I assume our lows are gonna be 80 to 90. That's my least thoughts. I thought it'd be a little bit higher, but nope, not the case actually. Feels pretty good though. He's running. Oh, get out of here. Get out of my lobby, kid. Oh, hello. I'm probably dead. I'm probably dead. I'm probably dead. Yeah, I'm dead. I am looking back at OBS though. It seems like there was a missed frame of 1. We did miss 1 frame and then we skipped 2. But I don't think honestly that matters too much because it was very insignificant. So now we're gonna do the performance mode. And for performance mode, we're of course gonna have unlimited FPS. And then for our settings, we're gonna have our view distance to far, disable textures to low, same thing for mesh. And I don't know why that wasn't on, show FPS on as well. Okay, here we go. Performance mode while streaming. Okay, FPS is looking good. 600 plus FPS. Look at the sky. Nothing too crazy. So near 1,000 still, which is still awesome. That's a good sign. Usually with 1,200, the FPS is going to be way more consistent for those 1% lows. Our 1% lows do feel a little bit on the low side. Not very consistent. I'd say probably around 180-ish to 120. But No, actually, I'd probably say 160. 160 feels very, very smooth to be 120. And then our in-game FPS right now is around like 4 to 5 right now consistently, which is actually really good. Be curious to see how the gameplay looks like too from the VOD. They seem to be just as good. Oh, hello. I do not know how I missed that first shot. I thought this was the Huntsman rifle. Mostly one or two things. There is no cover this season. Like, there's barely anything to play. That's not what I intended to do. What the bullshit is that? What the frick was that? Did I not just like... Okay, this pistol is supply 100% pistol. Dude, what am I looking at sometimes? Like, I just got melted for like all my health. And now I'm dead to zone. What am I supposed to do? What did I get hit by? Like, I just can't. I can't keep up with this season, bro. I just don't know what's going on. How is this guy moving around like an acrobatic? 10 skipped frames, 26 missed or lagged. But honestly, like, you're not gonna be able to tell anything. Your viewers won't notice a difference in the drip in quality because, like, that is like negligible. You will not notice that. I just want to quickly say it. This PC build turned out absolutely amazing for an all-white theme PC build. Like, the RGB on this looks fantastic. The case looks good. The motherboard looks good. The one thing I kind of don't like though are the small, minute black aesthetics to the PC build, like the RAM slots, the actual headers and stuff like that for the motherboard. But those things are so small that I don't feel like they really take away from this PC build on this all-white theme build. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me in that in the comments down below. But the performance for this thing was absolutely fantastic, especially for gaming and streaming. We were able to play Fortnite on high settings, easily stream to Twitch with no issue. We did have some frame drops here and there, but honestly, they're one of those things that you won't really notice, and even your viewers wouldn't notice. And of course, the same thing was said for actually gaming on performance mode for Fortnite, getting like, what was it, 400 to 500 FPS while streaming really good quality. Like, it was nice. The stream quality was not particularly the best, just because when you stream any platform, there's of course going to be a little bit of noise or fuzziness to it, and there was a little bit to that, but not as bad as using an AMD GPU. If we use an AMD GPU in this build, the quality stream would not look that good. Like, it would be watchable, but it wouldn't be as good as this. And you can really notice the quality detail by the actual text in itself, because the noise for the actual text is very noticeable on the stream VOD. I'll just say the performance on CS2 was fantastic. We absolutely crushed CS2, hitting over like 300 to 600 FPS at times, and the game felt super smooth on those 1% lows, like 240 FPS. Like, this kid is gonna absolutely love this PC build for his 16th birthday, especially for CS2, which is the game he's most interested in. So this will be a massive upgrade compared to his current PC build. Now, of course, I didn't get to test every single game on this PC in this video here, because this has already been like a 30-minute video. So we'll have another video coming out testing a wide variety of different games with this CPU GPU combo inside this PC build. So if you don't want to miss out on that video, definitely get subscribed. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to smash the like button, and I'll see you for another one. Tech Rant out.